guess when people come in, I'll tell them like what we're doing. So, but
Yeah.
I'll have to keep. I mean, actually, it's not really gonna work because I have to keep updating them periodically. Yo, so everyone who's here, basically, I'm going on my buddy Jason Rosati's podcast. I'm on his podcast right now. I figured I would IG live it at the same time while we're talking. So I guess the people that filter in later on are gonna have no idea what the fuck is going on, but whatever.
If you want, they could go to my YouTube and they can see the full conversation as it happens. But
I'm saying new people that come in. It doesn't matter. These people just come to Peru. Get me seminars, dude. I would love to come to Peru.
Yo, fly him out. He'll go anywhere.
Yeah, I will. Dude, I will literally fly anywhere. I actually know somebody in Peru who I'd like to hang out with again. So like that would.
Is that on your list of places to go? Do you have certain areas where you really want to visit that you haven't yet?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I wouldn't say Peru is like on the list per se. I mean, like, to be honest, I don't really have a list of places that I feel like I really have to go. There's like maybe one or two places I feel like I have to go at some point in my life, like Italy, because my family's from there.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I have family in Italy. Well, the last name like Rosati, that's to be expected, right? So
who would have thought? Yeah, I think it's like literally like a pasta strand.
Yeah, come to Seoul. What's the news on Singapore? Well, Sebastian, I am supposed to be going to Singapore December 1st, but I'm supposed to have been in Singapore 3 times already. So we'll see if it actually happens this time. God willing, inshallah, I will be in Singapore soon.
Yeah, that one's man. That was like your a lot of different things could have like happened there. You could have went to Singapore, then COVID happened, and now you're doing some other stuff.
Yeah,
interesting. Kind of like fucked up your plans.
Hold on a second. Let's test something out. Yo, hey, greetings from Heidelberg. Hey, you guys are one of my favorite cities I ever visited. Heidelberg was fucking awesome. Yo, somebody do me a favor. Can somebody give a thumbs up if you can hear Jason? The questions he's asking me. Jason, say something.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. Can you hear me? Tell me.
Somebody just do me a favor and just give like a thumbs up if you can hear Jason.
Yeah. If they could, that would be awesome. That would really be a nice flow.
Okay.
You got a thumbs up. Oh, this is wonderful. Rob, thank you so much for coming on to my podcast, man.
Yeah, no problem.
You're the GOAT.
Sure. But I'll take it. Thank you.
Just keep doing what you're doing, man. So I wanted to talk a little bit about your jiu-jitsu journey and kind of what were some of the highlights in each one of the belts. So how about we start off? We start off with where do you want to start? You want to start with like brown and working your way down, or you want to start with white and work your way up?
Let's go white and work our way up. But also, like, I just want to start off with talking about why the belts don't fucking matter. And anyone who takes the belts,
you love to hear it.
Yeah. Anyone who takes belts seriously is actually a fucking loser. Okay. Like, belts literally don't matter. I sometimes don't even know what belt someone is, right? So the Rotolos apparently just got their brown belts. Like, so they're well, I mean, like the thing is like they're going I think they're following the IBJJF requirements, right? Because they want to do those tournaments. That's understandable, right? It's just like, what do the belts even mean? You know what I mean? Like, so here's a question. Is there an established curriculum for jiu-jitsu? No, there's not. There's no standardized curriculum for jiu-jitsu. It's just like whatever your instructor feels like giving you or teaching you rather, right?
Yeah.
In judo, I don't know, I shouldn't speak too much about it, but I believe there's an established curriculum that you're taught in judo, right? So if you have an established curriculum and then you want to give people belts based upon their capacity to perform moves at a specific level that's supposed to be the process, right? There's a system, okay, and all the belt signifies is the degree of progression you've made in the system. That means something then, right? But the belts don't mean anything. Just like as it currently exists, the belts exist for one reason and one reason only, okay? The belts exist so that instructors can keep you coming. It's essentially, and even if they don't realize what they're doing, it's just nefarious, right? It's a marketing thing, right?
Yeah.
It's the gamification of jiu-jitsu, like attendance, if you will.
Can I add something in? And isn't that when they used to have the belts, they used to have no stripes too, right? Like when they first came out with it.
I have no idea. Possibly.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I read that somewhere.
Yeah. Next, we're gonna add little colored lines on the stripes. Right. That's the next thing. Like, oh, I just got my first stripe on my blue belt. Now here's my second red line on my white stripe.
You need 4 lines to get 1 stripe, 4 stripes to get a belt.
I'm losing followers by the second right now as I'm shitting on the belts. But so
They're
like,
like, you gotta say this in Portuguese for them
yeah,
to understand.
well, no, it's not even that. It's people love the belts. They go, I got my second stripe. Like, to me, it's like I literally, because I only train no-gi, and I just don't like. Okay,
It's kind of what
here's
I like about it.
yeah, like here's to me, like if the belts mean anything, okay, to me, a black belt, if we're gonna say it means anything, should only indicate one thing: your capacity to compete at a black belt level, or okay, to coach people who are capable of doing that, right? Because then the second you got old and you couldn't compete anymore, you'd lose your black belt, right? That's not, I don't believe in that, right?
Yeah.
Coach people to, so hypothetically, based on what I'm saying, you could lose your black belt. Let's say you were a really high level competitor, but you're a dog shit coach, right? And then you're incapable of producing athletes to compete at the black belt level. Well, I mean, in what sense are you even a black belt anymore? You know what I mean? So I think that if we're gonna say a black belt means anything, I guess you can call it that. It's like a master of sport in like the Russian system, like Sambo or whatever. Like I don't know that system that well, so I'm kind of talking out of my ass. But like the point that I'm getting at is that like ultimately, like, okay, here's a trick. In like Muay Thai or wrestling or boxing, absolutely nobody cares about arbitrary bullshit like belts.
Yeah.
They just about skill and knowledge, the acquisition of knowledge and your capacity to express skill in an actual competition setting. That's all that matters, right?
I think that wrestlers actually come in with an advantage like that because they don't have that mindset of like, oh, so fixated on the belt. They kind of just have been working on their skill and technique for years. So then they go into like a gym and they just tear it up because they're just been focused on their performance rather than what belt am I or how long have I been training.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. I came from a wrestling background. I did wrestling mainly because I was too poor at the time to do jujitsu, but it was like my first introduction to grappling was wrestling, even if I really only did it because it was like a poor man's jujitsu.
Yeah. Did you want to do jujitsu? Like, were you aware of what jujitsu was at that time?
Yeah, I knew what jujitsu was. I started wrestling because of jujitsu. I was watching like UFC and I really liked BJ Penn and I thought he was cool. And then I looked up, what does BJ Penn do? What is I think I BJ Penn's martial art, and it was like jujitsu. So I was like, all right, I'll do that.
I want to be like BJ Penn.
Yeah, basically, I mean, literally, that's kind of what I really was like. I want to be like BJ Penn. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about like how you're now getting into it and white belt level. Yeah.
Okay, so basically, when I was young, I Google searched like what martial art does BJ Penn do? Is jiu-jitsu. But then when I remember I didn't have a job. I was like 13, 14. I asked my mom if I could do jiu-jitsu, and I did like a trial class at Sarah's, and then she found out the price, and she was like, absolutely fucking not.
Oh, heartbroken.
Yeah, and I was like too young to really get a job yet. Like I did like little 13-year-old jobs here and there, but I never had like a real job at that age. So I couldn't afford to do it. And so my friend on the wrestling team told me, hey, why don't you wrestle? It's kind of like that. And I looked up, I was like, a lot of UFC fighters were doing wrestling before. So I was like, oh, all right, I guess I can do this. And like, this will be like my gateway. And then, but even on the wrestling team, like I would roll around, we would do like jujitsu. It wasn't real. We would like YouTube like jujitsu moves and do them as a practice. Yeah, I did like a triangle strangle on one of my teammates, like just rolling around, like testing it out. Like, what does this do? Could this put you unconscious? One time we were messing around with omoplatas, and like I popped my buddy's shoulder, and he was like, well, it wasn't serious, but I was like, holy fuck.
Well, you guys probably had no idea where the range of motion was.
Yeah, literally no idea whatsoever. We were so irresponsible, but we were like also like
just off of YouTube. That's the early days of YouTube too. Wow, it's crazy how it's been out there for that long.
Yeah, like my gospel at the time this is really my first ever introduction to actual jiu-jitsu. There was a BJ Penn video where he shows a very, very basic sequence. It's like a bridge. So the guy's got him in mount. He bridges into a close guard. He stands up in the close guard. He passes to mount, and then the other guy bridges and does that to him. Right. And I was like, wow, this is like elite level jiu-jitsu.
Gotta get reps of this.
Yeah. And it was funny because like I thought the guard was like really cool. So like I was like, oh, I'm gonna play guard. Yeah. Even before I even really knew any of it, I was like kind of drawn to that. But like, so then basically I started actual jujitsu. I did like a couple weeks in the summers, you know, like I went to Sarah's for like 2 weeks in the summer once. I went to Vamos a little bit in one of the summers. So I was doing a little bit here and there, but it wasn't like not serious, not consistent. The week after high school wrestling ended, by that point, I had gotten a job my senior season of wrestling. I was working at a pizzeria. Terrible job for a wrestler, but regardless.
Yeah, especially on weight cutting. Oh, boy. That's difficult, man. Those pinwheels, they stare at you.
Yeah.
Forget about it.
It was actually very brutal. You're not kidding. No, I'm for real. I actually know what you're talking about, the pinwheels. Like, I want to eat that so far.
It's like right there on the counter too. It's so easy. Every time I go into like certain food places, I'm like, nah, I can't work here. Like I see like donut shops and I'm like, nah, son, like I'm not going to be in there.
Yeah, that's funny.
So how long did you wrestle for?
I started wrestling. Hold on. Yo, can we cut the podcast 1 second? Pause it real quick. Sorry, man. Sorry, give me 1 second. Hold on. Hold on.
All right. So it's now me. It's a pleasure. I love to be here. Rob's a great guy.